Hi, this is Sonny Grosso here, and I'm chatting with Staxx. Make sure you tell everybody. Stay tuned.
Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Sonny Grosso, the song father.
With daddy and this and that and other people's fathers and stuff. But you know what? It really did start out as a quarter, 50 cents a game. But you know, when you start doubling up, you know, you want to break it in, and there was no cheating involved. They asked me that too. Huh?
No, there was no. It wasn't just a game anymore. Quickly escalated, right?
Correct. You know, even to the point where I didn't want to play them anymore. You know, they were that bad. They were that bad. You know, and I wasn't a bad kid. I was just a troublesome kid. But you know, when it got to be that point, I had no idea. I just thought it was their money. And when he got caught taking the $40 out of his mother's wallet, you know, that was the end of that. So we'd still play pool, but not for money. We'd play for a Yoo-hoo, you know, or we'd play for Twinkies and then go up to the deli and get a Twinkie or whatever. But, you know.
So during your time growing up and your adolescent years, was there any major events that happened that stand out in your mind?
Well, let's see. You want to go medical?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, well, I was born with testicular cancer and an undescended testicle. 3 years old, I had the mumps. When I was 7 years old, they brought the testicle down and the cancer was gone. So that's cancer number one. Broke bones left and right, fell 40 feet out of a tree and shattered my shoulder blade. As I'm growing up, then as I got older, I had colon cancer. I had 8 operations. The surgeon screwed me up bad and got over that. Then I developed non-Hodgkin's lymphoma from a tumor in the back of my neck. And that was in 2006. Then in 2016, I was head of security at a place called Adventureland on Long Island. It was an amusement park. And there's a train that goes around. And out of the corner of my eye, I see this kid, and I could see, you know, he was a chubby kid, but he had that look in his eye that I seen in my cousins. I thought, this kid's going to do something stupid. And he's timing it. And as the train is coming, he starts running and he jumps in the air. He wants to try to jump in front of it, not get hit. He wants to, you know, miss it. Yeah. And I push it and I put my arm up. And this little chubbo there, you know, I stopped him. Everybody said, "Oh, you saved his life." But he took my arm and bent it back, and I tore the entire muscle off the bone, the bicep. So I had to go for surgery for that. And then in 2020, right before my father passed away, right after actually, but I was diagnosed before, and he was going through the final days of Alzheimer's and what's the other thing, dementia. So I didn't want to upset him. I didn't tell anybody, you know. Then after he passed, then I let them know, and then I had the prostate cancer. So I had the cyberknife done, and they missed a couple of times with the high intense radiation, and they hit my bladder. And it's all screwed up. So,
wow, my mom went through cancer 2 times, and then another time it was some other type of. She had breast cancer twice, and she had another scare recently where the biopsy came back inconclusive, and so a lot of people dealing with cancer. And what do you think?
It's scary. It's scary. And you're making her go shovel snow, man. That's not good, man.
Yeah. Make her go shovel the driveway. Go shovel the driveway. So what was it like going through radiation and all that?
You can go 2 things. You could do it 5 days a week for 7 weeks, or you go to the cyberknife, which is, you know, the top of the line. Like you could probably hit the moon from here with that. And it only is 5 days. When you go to 5 days a week, it's about 45 minutes. This is 10. So I said, I'm going to go for that. What the hell? You know, you'd be done in a week. And I had radiation before when I had the other cancer, so it really wasn't that bad. But by the second day, it was like, holy shit, it knocks the hell out of you. Your whole body starts fighting. Don't realize, there's it's like a foreign element that's going through your body, And before that, they put these gold bars up your behind into the prostate so they can say, all right, yeah, and these are the things that you're supposed to hit. So how they missed a couple, I don't know, but they totally screwed up my bladder, and for the rest of my life, they said it's going to be that way. The burning and the smell, and you just sometimes you want to
wear a bag. Did you have to wear a bag?
You know what I did back when I had the colon cancer? I had to wear a colostomy bag. That's where the doctor really screwed me up. His intentions were good, so I don't want to make him out to be a monster, but he was trying to avoid me having to wear a colostomy bag. So he made his own. What the fuck is wrong with you? I don't know. You're the doctor, so if you say this is what we're going to do. So he designed his own and stuck this thing into me that drained into a drain, and it just didn't work. And I got everything, they call it walling together. My anus, my rectum, my prostate, my bladder, and something else were all stuck together from the infection that it caused. So I had to have three surgeons at the same time operate on me to separate everything. So that's when I had my first problem, because they had to reconstruct my bladder, and then this and that. And then it was, like I said, his intentions were good. So, threw a little lawsuit together because I went through a lot. I mean, a lot. I almost died twice in the hospital. Blood pressure came down to 40/30. Had last rites done and everything else. I had an out-of-body experience that most people don't believe me, but I was up on the ceiling watching them.
What was that like? Walk me through that.
I was as my blood pressure was crashing. It's like falling asleep, or it's like when you get the shot before they're going to surgery on you. You start going out a little bit.
Yeah.
And my father had hired a private duty nurse. Thank God for her. Thank God for him, to come in, not 24 hours, just to come in during the 3 to 11 shift where everything's changing. So she's watching me, and she's looking at the blood pressure drop, and she went out and she told the nurses out there, you better do something, call his doctor, because this ain't good. And so, I don't remember any of that, because now I'm out 40/30. You're 10 away from flatlining, and, see ya. But all of a sudden I'm on the ceiling and I'm watching, and they're all over me. There was about 6 nurses there and a doctor. They're smacking me in the face. They're putting ice cubes on my face and all over my body. Come on, Mr. Grosso, fight, Mr. Grosso, fight, Mr. Grosso. And I remember when I woke up, it was the next day, and I was still foggy. And I told the nurse about this dream, and she goes, that's exactly what happened. I'm like, wow, that to me is like unbelievable. Yeah. And then so when he connected the 2 parts of the colon back together again, he missed one part. I don't know how you do that. You're supposed to sew it all around, but he missed a part. And the omentum that covers everything inside your body came out through that hole and ended up going through my body and then coming out my behind. And it was just hanging there. And I'm telling him there's something wrong, and he's trying to blow me off. So I went to his office. I just went in to go, he's not here. He's in surgery. I said, we'll get him, because I'm not leaving here. You can lock me in tonight and I'll see him in the morning, but I'm not leaving here. So now she's scared. I didn't mean to scare her. Yeah. And she calls him. He calls me from the operating room. He goes, I'll be there as soon as I'm finished. And he came over and he yanked the whole thing out. And then I went through the same process again. And then I almost died again. So I had to. So I go in to get some of the staples out, and it's all infected. Again, this is my 5th infection. And it was boom, boom, boom. He just cleans it out. And when I left, he left a hole in my stomach. It was about that deep and that wide and about that long, all taped up. So now when we get this lawsuit going, we're all sitting down and seeing if we can come up with an agreement instead of going to a trial. And so my lawyer, I had the pictures blown up. As soon as I got home, I had my girlfriend take pictures of it, It's just something told me to do it. And so anyway, he says, okay, we could do this, and, maybe we can come up with a number and avoid the trial. And so my lawyer said, I remember, forget the date. On October 6th, did you have the opportunity to see Mr. Grosso? And he goes, well, can I look at my book? He goes, yeah. So he goes through his book. He goes, yes. He had a 2:00 appointment. And what was that for? I removed some of the staples out of and everything was okay. He goes, yeah, everything was fine. And I couldn't wait anymore. I know what the lawyer was doing, but I was too impatient. You lying mother. So I took out the picture and I threw it across the table at him. I go, is that what that's what happened when you took my staples out? And he goes, you took pictures of it? I go, yeah. He goes, why would you do that? I said, for the reason we're sitting here. You almost killed me twice. So we ended up settling out of court. And I went up to him. I said, listen, it's nothing personal. He goes, no, you know what? I was going to tell you the same thing. I fucked up, and whatever we can do, we can do. I'm like, wow, thank God for that, you know? But so much, come on.
I know, like there's a lot of malpractice out there. Sometimes they drop the scalpel. They dropped the scalpel in someone I know.
Inside,
yeah. Sewed them up. It sewed them up. The guy's walking around with a scalpel.
He filled out the doctor's book with a lie. He took out 4 staples, and he didn't. He left the Grand Canyon inside my freaking stomach, and you lie on it. If I didn't take that picture, it's one word against the other.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's scary.
Yeah, I mean, these people have your life in their hands.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and they're, you know, most of them, they're good, but they're also very cocky. But during the course of all that stuff that I was doing with the doctor, he was part of a 4-man group. The 3 of them threw him out because it wasn't the first time shit like this was happening. Because he wanted to become known as the endoscopic surgeon of the world. So every patient he had to go and do it, you know, endoscopically, and it doesn't work, especially when you got to get down in the colon. He took care of this down here, even though it took him 5 operations, you know, I'm including the colostomy, but he missed up here right under my ribs a whole mass of cancer and his answer was, well, I wasn't looking there. What do you mean? You're supposed to look everywhere. When you go in, you're supposed to look and see, did it spread anywhere? How do you
exploratory type thing?
Exactly,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
did they say what the cause of all this was? What the cause of the cancer or any of that?
No, you know, I mean, I had IBS when I was like 14 years old. You know, so you know, I guess it was just destined to be. Either it would just stay at that or balloon to what it was. So then you fast forward. My goddaughter, she gets married, and her husband ends up becoming some kind of a special doctor, but that gets involved with the surgeries and the radiations and all that shit. And we're sitting in their backyard one day celebrating their first baby, and we're talking. And so I go, how's work going, John? He goes, good. I hooked up with a great surgeon, this and that. He's over in New Hyde Park. And I said, just say Smith. That's not his name. But I go, it's not Smith, is it? And he goes, oh. Yeah. He goes, Uncle Joe told you? I go, no. He goes, well, answer me. He goes, well, yeah, that's his name. How do you know him? And I told him the story. I went, you know what? Don't tell him that I'm your uncle, because he'll probably fire you on the spot. But what are the odds of that? Seriously.
That's insane.
I mean, we're talking like, I don't know, 20 years later. Right?
And he was still practicing.
Yeah. Still on his own. And this guy became his right hand man. It's good because he needs 3 hands the way he operates. But anyway, so then, you know, lead you all through that. And A&P was great to me during that whole thing. You know, paid me. I mean, I was in the hospital 12 weeks at a time. You know, NPO, you know, I mean,
the recovery is really, really hard, huh?
Oh, man. And I went out and I walked every day. I started as best as I can. They used to call me the marathon man. I would walk around the floor. Then they let me go downstairs. Then I would go with my marathon, man. That's what the nurses call me, the marathon. Yeah. And I go out with the thing with the drips hang down. And they let me go, and I'd walk up and down and then go outside and then sneak a cigarette. And one day my mother comes to visit me. And I'm outside. She goes, what are you doing here? I said, I came down to have a cigarette. You can't have. I said, look, here's your choice. Go upstairs and wait in my room, or have a cigarette with me now. Oh, okay. And we sit down and we have a cigarette. And people are walking by giving us looks like, look at this. And my 2 sisters come walking by, and they don't see my mother. And they go, you know, there's no hope for you. I go, me? What about her? And they look, and it was one of those funny things, you know, that the nurses loved. Yeah. But, you know, being almost dead twice, that's a scary thing. And he smiled down on me, and here I am. Might have it again, the prostate cancer.
Oh man.
Yeah, so they were going to try. We're going to try a bunch of different things first before they have to go in, because they can't really do the cyberknife again. You can only get it once. So they're saying we'll go in and just take it out. And after that happens, this is what happens. Down in that region, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I said no. I said I'll die with it, but you're not taking it out. So it's all I got left. I'm going to be 70 years old, and if that thing is always pointing to the ground, then I don't need to live. I swear to God.
Yeah, I feel the same way, man.
Right? Come on, what are you talking about?
If it ain't working, I'm not in the game anymore.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Right? The bat don't work. You don't got to play the game.
So when I had the security, the private investigation, I did bodyguarding for Frank Sinatra and Robert Redford, Faye Dunaway, Muhammad Ali.
What was that like? So when you meet one of these celebrities, right? What can you walk me through the day that you met one of them that really blew your mind away?
Yeah, well, what happened was there was a movie called 3 Days at the Condor that starred Robert Redford and Faye Dunaway. Great movie. And Robert Redford and his wife were getting threatening letters and phone calls. And when you come to New York, we're going to, I used to say to my father, did you send those letters just so we could get this kind of business, And so he was scared. So, who did he go to? Go to this one and go to my father, and he'd bring all these people in. So when I first met him, I was never apprehensive, but I was a little nervous, and it's a big star and stuff. But I had a choice. I could either have worked on Saturday Night Fever with John Travolta, who at the time to me was only Vinnie Barbarino, or I could work on 3 Days of the Condor. So I'm weighing the two together. All right, teeny boppers, maybe, going to go watch Vinnie Barbarino and this and that and that. And that. Meanwhile, you go over to Robert Redford. Well, there's going to be a lot of women there. And so I chose to go to that one. I had a great time. It was a blast. We had fun. We busted chops and all that stuff. The people in the streets were they were a little scary. They followed us everywhere and caused massive traffic jams and everything. But not many women there. But
you're kind of on edge, right? You're kind of on edge because people are making threats.
Oh my God! Yeah, they were. Yeah, and when he first started, but then you could easily have anywhere 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people out there watching your film. You got to get all the the cops and the guys that I hired to help to hold them back. I don't know if one of those guys that was making the threats is like right there. A shot's gonna go off. I don't know, but he was cool through the whole thing. And one day we were filming down in Peter Cooper Village, and so the scene was he had to get in an elevator and then go up to the top where supposedly the apartment was. So we had to wait until they got everything set up because they're going to get him when the doors open. Him and this killer are on it together. They both know who each other is. Very tense scene. So we're downstairs, and it took a while to set up the scene. He lights up a cigarette. Mr. Air, Mr. Clean Air, don't smoke, don't litter, this and that. I went, are you kidding me? He goes, what? Oh, yeah, please don't tell anybody. I said, you know what? I said, Mr. Redford. He goes, please call me Bob. Because now I got him by the balls. So now I can call him Bob. Yeah. I said, you know what, Bob? I haven't had a cigarette in like 3 weeks because I'm with you all the time. I'll get one in the car on the way home. And you smoke? So I took out a cigarette and we had a laugh. And with that, I don't know if you ever lived or been in the projects. They always have the washing room and the carriage room. Well, this lady comes out of the washroom, and she's got her little basket with the clothes in it and the tie on top. And he goes, oh shit, and he gives me the cigarette. Now I got a cigarette in each hand, and she looks over to me and she goes, you're not supposed to be smoking inside the building. And better yet, what are you doing smoking 2 cigarettes at once? She didn't even realize that it was Robert Redford. Then she turned, she goes, oh my God, Robert Redford, maybe you could tell him to stop smoking. And she got in the elevator and left. He goes, I owe you. So
give him the cigarette back.
Give him 2 cigarettes. So fast forward, he's doing the movie The Natural. And my Uncle Mike is going up there to bodyguard him, but also be in the film. He had a nice partner, and he was Doc Dizzy, the guy with the straw hat, in the locker room with the champagne pops and everything else.
Yeah.
But you want to go up? Go up there. It was in the summer though, but you want to go up there for like, it's probably going to be about 3-4 weeks, whatever, and you could work on it and make a couple of bucks. And like, nah, only one of the best movies that was ever made, But he remembered me all these years later, and he told my Uncle Mike the story about the cigarettes, So
that's crazy.
I thought that was very cool, very cool.
It is. It's
but the biggest thrill for me was Ali. He was the best. His family, he was just the best. And the first night that he showed up was at a private reception. It was, I don't know, something like $5,000 a plate just to go. And so, all the starched white shirts people were there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so he comes walking in, and he's very, it's when he was at, really coming to the end with that disease he had, where you shake and everything.
Yeah.
But he comes
Parkinson's.
in. Parkinson's, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
And he's carrying a briefcase, and Howard Bingham was the guy taking care of him. He's been a friend of his since they were like in their teens, and so he's just walking around and making sure everybody gives him his room, let him get settled in first, whatever. And so Howard Bingham says, help everybody. I don't think I have to introduce this man, Muhammad Ali, and this and that. And he goes, before we sit down, everybody knows what he's going through with the Parkinson's disease. And the reason he's doing so good is because he's very strong-willed. And he's a firm believer that the mind can do a lot of things for you that you don't believe that he can do. So he wants to show you something he's been working on. It's a levitation. You're like, all right, what the fuck? So he puts this, everybody please form a circle. And they form a circle. I'm with them. Puts the briefcase in the middle of the room. And he goes, all right, so I need you to do is just be quiet. And Muhammad is going to it's not going to like go up in the air and circle around the room. Maybe it'll come up 2 or 3 inches, but I need you all to stare at that. Keep staring at the briefcase and think in your mind, rise, rise. Just keep saying that over and over again. So we go and do it. And he stops for a second and he whispers in Howard Bingham's ear. And he goes, he said, you guys aren't doing it loud enough inside your head. All right, just please really concentrate. It's very important. But don't close your eyes because you want to see that. Okay. And we're doing it again. Another 5-10 minutes go by. And he looks up and he goes, man, you white people will believe anything.
Oh, so he was joking with you guys.
Oh, he made us all look like assholes. It was great.
That's hilarious.
And so then the next day we took him on a tour of United Cerebral Palsy Center, of which I was on the board of directors. And he played with every kid, every adult. He went into the kids. He didn't want to talk to the suits. He didn't want to hang out with them because they were all full of shit, And he went into the kitchen and he was shadow boxing with everybody. And it was just such a great day. And then Leonard's of Great Neck is where we had the big reception where he was getting his Man of the Year. And, sits down at the table and they're auctioning this off and this. And now he raised over $100,000 that night. But little by little, people started getting their balls up and coming over by the table, And then I see 5, then 10, then now there's like 20 people online. I said, the guy is, first of all, he's got the Parkinson. And they had a thing set up where your face gets numb, almost like when you have MS. And he would dribble, but he couldn't feel it. So they would go, and he'd heard that noise, and it means take a napkin and wipe it off. So they had all these different signals set up for him so he doesn't embarrass himself. And so now they see the line. It's when I start moving the line, and he pulls me by my pants. I almost fell over. And I go, oh, what? He goes, let them stay. I wouldn't be here without them. I'm like, wow. He signed, and as long as that line was there, he signed whatever they brought him and everything. He had such a great time. So there's pictures on my Facebook.
I'll incorporate the pictures into this.
He was. I think I sent you a couple. Yeah, he was unbelievable. So now we're walking back to the room, and I had a Betty Boop tie on, and say goodnight. He goes into the room. He shakes my hand. Howard Bingham gives me a hug. You did a great job. Thank you so much. And close the door. So I'm walking away, and the door opens, and it's Muhammad Ali. He goes, come here. So I come back, and Howard goes, he wants your tie. I go, he wants my tie. Betty Boop? He goes, yeah. I went, okay. I go, wait a minute. And I had a bag that was in the room. Oh, thank God, I almost forgot it. That was a boxing glove. I was going to ask him to sign, but I never did that when I worked. I never asked Sinatra or anybody else, all these other people. I never asked them for an autograph, except Faye Dunaway. Yeah. I had a crush on her. But so I bring my bag out. I'll tell you what, you can have my tie if you sign my glove. There was 2, actually. He goes, I'll sign 1. I go, okay. I took that tie off in like 6 seconds. Here you go. Yeah. And then he takes everything and he closes the door. And now I'm out there a while. And I'm like, is he not going to, is he did not understand? Is he not going to sign it and give it to me? And then the door opened and he gave it to me. So that's like one of my prized possessions there. It's unbelievable.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
it was great.
Great story. That is a great story.
Yeah, and he was great. So very great.
Did you ever see him with the tie on, with the Betty Boop tie on?
No, I wish, because then he went downhill. It wasn't long after that when he was doing the thing for the Olympics, if you remember. Yeah, and he was, he was really starting to drift away. And for the last year and a half of his life, I kept in touch with Howard. I wrote a nice poem that I'm very good with poems, and so I wrote a nice poem about him and how he's admired for the strength that he had as a human being and also as a fighter, and don't let the shaking in your hands. I forget how it went, whatever, but we sent it to him, and he, up until he died, I don't know if it's still there, he had it hanging up in his house in Kentucky. So that was always something to me that I could sit back. It was like, if you ever watch Everybody Loves Raymond, and when he had the Mickey Mantle Bowl signed, he goes, every once in a while, he goes, for a brief moment, Mickey Mantle was thinking about me. That's how I felt. If he walked by and he would look at that poem on the wall, he would remember who wrote the poem and the fun that we had and the Betty Boop tie and everything. So,
yeah,
I've been blessed. I've been blessed.
That is an awesome memory.
With a lot of good fun times. Yeah. So
definitely.
And then I started Facebook in 2010. I wanted to get on because I wrote a kid's book called The Butterfly and the Dinosaur. And everybody told me, go on Facebook, And I got, fuck that play. All it is for cheaters. What do you? No, you can really get out there if you market it right and you get to a lot of people. I'm like, all right. And that's what happened. So I started that, and then I started doing some singing. And I do a thought for the day every day since 2010, 13 years, 365 a year, putting up a thought for the day. And I did it because I got in touch with this girl who married a friend of mine, and she was on Facebook, and we couldn't believe it. And they say that's the best thing about Facebook back then, is that you get to hook up with people and reunite with people that shared your life that you don't even know where they are.
Yeah, from high school and
right, exactly.
School, and
so she told me her husband Jimmy, my good friend, really good guy, down to earth kind of guy, and everything. Been very depressed lately. He left the law firm that he was with to start his own. It hasn't been going good. So then he went with 2 other guys, and I said, all right, tell him, show him my Facebook tomorrow. And I wrote a thing. I wrote a thought just for him to help him, and not patting myself on the back. But he read that, and he got a whole new outlook on life. So the first 4 posts that I made were just for him. But the comments coming back from across the country, it knocked me on my ass. I couldn't believe it, that it's this big, this Facebook thing,
Yeah.
And I've gotten letters, thank you letters mailed to me, sent to me through chat. I was thinking of killing myself, but your thought for the day, this and that, made me really rethinking it. So I said, you know what? There you go. There's God again saying, do this. So, it gets tough every day to try to come on. What can I come up with now? That I haven't said already before, But so then they started saying,
you feel like it's repetitious.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How many times can you say, don't put your hands over a fire? You know what I mean? You're going to burn your fingers if you do. Yeah. But so they started asking if I could sing this song and dedicate it to their father or to their husband or to their wife. Can you do it? Okay. Then it started being, hey, Godfather, could you grant this request for me? And they started being known as the Godfather, which I did not want, especially internationally. Don't be calling me that shit,
Yeah, yeah.
I changed the name to Songfather. And my father goes, "That is the best tag I ever heard in my life. Never lose it. That's a great tag, the song, Father."
Yeah, when you said it, I was like, "Damn, son,
Right?
it
And
has a good ring."
it just came into my head. You know,
Do
I
you
don't want
write?
to be the
Do
guy.
you write your own songs?
I wrote about, I think, 20 songs so far, year to date, which is, in this business, nothing. But um, I'm proud of it. 20
Yeah,
songs, try to come up with the music. And I am great without patting myself on the back with the lyrics. But to come up with music, I don't know how they do it. I just don't, you
it
know?
takes a lot of balls to be able to go in front of people and perform. It really does.
Yeah. Well, when I first started doing that and getting up, even just at weddings and shit, but then at different clubs and everything, before I would start, this would be my hand. And I would have to put two on it to try to stop it, And then I started reading. Elvis threw up before he went out on every stage. Perry Como shook all the way time. So everybody goes through it, Frank Sinatra had to have a cigarette before he went out to sing. Then eventually he
Yeah.
started smoking on stage. But so it happens to everyone. But once I started, I would calm right down. And the biggest fear is not what they're going to think. The biggest fear is, what if I forget the words, which I've done a couple of times, because if it's not your band, they
Yeah.
could really screw with you.
So what do you do when you forget the words?
I say, "Oh shit, I forgot the words."
That's
all.
Do you really?
Yeah.
You say, "Oh shit, I forgot the words."
I just did it. I just did that at my friend's daughter's wedding. And they went, I'm known more than Bobby Darin for singing Mac the Knife. I probably sang that in 50 to 60 weddings. And so, Sonny, could you get up and sing?
Yeah.
Like, come on, you sang at my wedding. Now you sing at Christina's wedding. How great. Okay. And I get up and I forgot one whole verse. And I just turned to the band and went, "Oh shit, I missed the verse." They go, "We got you." And they just kept the rhythm going. And we went back into that verse and then out with the song. And nobody noticed because they were good. They had my back. Well, once we were at a place when I was still with A&P, we had a big statewide meeting up in New Jersey. So we're afterwards we're at the bar and we're throwing them down, sambucas for everybody, and there's a band playing, and I don't know, but they went up and they paid the band, let him come up. He sings Mac the Night, it's great. And so I get up and they go, "What key?" I said, "I don't know. It's like the song, That's how I am that way." And okay, so they play it like for a test, So I sing along. Okay, we got it. So I get up, and so I start the first one. "Oh, the shark, babe, has such teeth, dear," and it's coming out great. And then they start raising the pitch up, and I got to try to come up now and match their pitch. Otherwise, I sound like I'm Shangad, and it just keeps going up and up. And then I realized, and I turned around with the mic. I go, "You mother," boom. And I threw the mic at the lead guitarist. And I went back. Now all my friends are up. And what's going on? I said, "Didn't you hear what they were doing to me?" "Yeah, I thought something was up." So then they got hot. They stopped playing. They're taking off their instruments. And we had like 20 people there. There was 5 of them, if you want to count the drummer. And they all look around. They go, "I come back up and we'll do it the right way." I said, no, fuck you. But that's what they can do if they want,
Yeah,
That's the biggest fear, forgetting the words. I don't. I remember I saw Frank Sinatra. He got me tickets he was very good friends with my father. So his last concert was in Carnegie Hall, and he got Radio City. No, it was Carnegie Hall. And he got me tickets. So I went with my girlfriend at the time, and we went, and it was great, but you'd miss a line here or miss a line there, and so I remember as we're walking out, there's a guy and his wife in front of me. He goes, "This is fucking bullshit. Wasn't worth the money." He's years old. He goes, forgetting the words here and there. I just couldn't take it anymore. So I grabbed him, I spun him around, and I go, "What is wrong with you?" He's like, "What?" I go, "Let me ask you a question. Who do you like, the Mets or the Yankees?" He goes, "Well, I'm a Yankee fan." I said, "All right, good. It'll make it easy to understand." I said, "If you knew that Mickey Mantle or whoever your favorite player was, that this was going to be the last day he's going to be playing in Yankee Stadium, and you went up there and he struck out 4 times, would you say anything? Would you care? Would you put him down like that and say he was a piece of shit and it wasn't worth the money?" He was, "Well, no." I said, "Well, aren't you doing the same thing for Frank Sinatra?" Yeah, you're right. "Yeah, I'm sorry." I said, "Don't apologize to me, but think." And he turns around and you could see the shoulders going up and down. He's breathing like He wants to pop me. I know he does.
Yeah, yeah.
And his wife puts her arm in, or his girlfriend, or whoever, puts her arm inside his, and she looks over her shoulder at me, and she goes, "Thank you." And then they walked out together. You know, and I'm blessed. I got guardian angels that are probably drinking 4 bottles of scotch a day, but they're still doing their job and protecting me. So,
hey, you got a lot more life in you, man. I see a lot more.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so, because this thing comes back again. It's like, and then they just found 3 leaky valves in my heart.
Oh man,
yeah,
leaky valve in your heart.
What 3 of them. They call it regurgitation. So what happens, like when the blood goes in,
what's that?
Like and it comes out, the valve opens and then closes, so the blood can go through the rest of your body. My valve opens and it doesn't close all the way, and the blood just keeps coming out of the heart, and it doesn't. So it's coming and right out again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but so where does the blood go? Just
usually when the valve is closed, it stays like to a certain point, like a washing machine.
Leaks out. When the blood leaks out, where's it going?
It goes just into the body. Yeah. That's why I got some bloating here, and so they doubled my heart medicine that I was on, because when my mother and father were sick at the same time. My father was in a hospital in the city. My mother was in a hospital in Long Island. I was working at a hospital overnight, so I would go see my father at 3:00, stay with him until 10:00. Go work at the hospital 7 a.m, and then go see my mother until 11. And so one day I'm crossing First Avenue, going over to the hospital, and as I'm walking up the ramp from the parking garage, I'm getting like a tight thing in my chest. I said, all right, maybe I had coffee from what do you call it? 7-Eleven, which I hate, but it was the only thing open. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's Ajit or whatever. So we get up to the top. I stop. I take a breath. And, of course, I light a cigarette. And as I'm crossing the street, it comes on. And I couldn't walk. And the pain was like an elephant was sitting on my chest. And some guy, nice guy, he's walking by. He walks by me, and then he stops and turns around. You okay? I said, you know what? I don't think so. He goes, come on. So he grabs me by the arm, and he helps me across the street. And he starts walking me to the emergency room. I go, no, I got to go in there. He goes, no, the emergency room's over here. I said, no, I got to go over there and visit my father. And he shook his head and just left me there and walked away like, all right, this guy's out of his mind. You know? And then I went up, and then the elevator had happened again. And then it stopped for a while. So then I was having some problems, and they did those angiogram things. And the guy tells me on that particular day, they can't narrow it down to a date, but just a certain reason.
Yeah, they can see it on this paper, right? The graph.
From all the way back then. It's amazing.
Yeah, they can see like, oh, you had a heart attack back then. You had a heart attack right here.
And that's what they did. That's what they told me.
Yeah,
they had 2 heart attacks. So, that's what that makes you nervous, to come through all that shit and fighting all the cancer and all the other things and everything else, blah, 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 to have a heart attack and go out that way. And then, growing up, 70 was usually it for a lot of people. For me, and my family and everything else. Nobody really lived till 80 if they did. My grandmother lived till 103. And
mine did too. She was 103 years old. Yeah, Grandma Vivaldi.
Right?
Yeah.
She was across the street from an A&P, and used to call there every day. Well, not every day, but a couple of times a week. Is Sonny Grosso there? No. Could you get a message to him? Tell him to call his grandmother. Okay. I'm sorry, great grandmother. Tell him to call his great nana. That's what she used to call herself. Yeah. And they get me on my beeper and listen. She called again today. I was like, okay. And I called her up. What's up, Nana? Yeah, I'm out of cigarettes. Could you get me cigarettes and a pint? And what do? Come on, Bill. We do
it for her. Yeah.
It doesn't matter where I am in Manhattan. I get in the car and I drive. I pick it up and I bring it over to her. She says, thank you. She gives me a kiss and then closes the door. I'm standing in the hallway like a Capone there. Like, I'm her piss boy,
Yeah. Like, what the...
But you do it because there's going to come a time where you can't do it. So,
of course. This has been great, man. This is great. It's been a great interview. And
thanks. Yeah.
We got so much more to talk about. We'll do some more parts to this. I got a show I got to do soon.
Yeah, we do this another time, man.
100%. We'll do a part 2. Thank you.
No,
I really
thank
appreciate you taking the time. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before we go?
It's my pleasure. My grandson, my son and my grandson, Mr. Cheeks. I don't know if you've been following me on Facebook. I don't think so.
Yeah,
But
I'm on your
have you?
Facebook. Yeah,
But he's 2
that's
years
how
old
we
now.
message each other.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Matter of fact, I did see it. Remember, you had a video.
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I saw
So
it
when he
the
was
other day.
born, and as he was getting big, his cheeks were out like this. He's like a chipmunk in the winter, you know.
Yeah,
And I
mine were like
nicknamed him
that
Mr. Cheeks, and the name stuck. And I swear to you, from Italy, Ireland, England, um, down under, what's that? Australia.
Yeah,
They all send me messages. How's Mr. Cheeks and this and that. It's an amazing thing.
yeah.
And next time we do this thing too, I'll write it down. But I'll tell you the story about 9/11. It'll flip you out.
Yeah,
All right?
definitely. We'll do that one on the next one.
Yeah.
I appreciate you taking the time.
No,
So
I appreciate you making the time, brother. You're a good man,
Yeah.
and you do a great job. You really do.
thank you,
And you just put people at ease because you're real. That's the difference.
thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it coming and keep speaking my mind. I'm gonna say the things people are scared to say.
Yeah, it's refreshing because people don't do that anymore. Megyn Kelly, maybe Dan Bongino and Tucker Carlson. That's it. Everybody else
Yeah.
is full of shit. We'll throw
Hey,
Angel
man.
in there because Angel's the best at that too. She don't
Shout
care.
out-
She
shout
does
out
it
to
in such a
Angel.
way that you don't realize that she just beat the shit out of you till like a half hour later, and then you go, "Wow, that hurt."
Yeah, yeah.
She's
I
great.
angered her a couple times, and she's let me know.
She'll let you know right away.
Yeah,
But she lets you off the hook right away too.
yeah,
As long as you acknowledge what you did, and
Yeah.
not specifically it's what you did, but what it did to her. If you acknowledge that, it's okay. That's
Shout
what
out
she
to
wants.
Angel Gotti.
She wants the respect. That's all, and she deserves it.
Thank
All
you,
right,
man.
brother.
And if you guys
You have a
like this
great day.
content, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like this content, too bad. Start your own podcast. Till next time.